The silent assassination. The Galactic Council chamber was the largest hall ever built by intelligent hands. Its ceiling curved like the inside of a star, glowing with 1,000 crystal lights. Delegates from every corner of the galaxy filled. Their seats, their voices buzzing in different tones, clicks, hisses, roars, and whispers. Today was a day of speeches, agreements, and empty promises. But today was also different. At the center stage, under the shining crystal dome, stood Earth's leader, a single human in a hall of giants. His suit was plain, his figure small compared to the armored, winged, and scaled bodies around him. Yet when he spoke, his voice carried strength. "Humanity seeks peace," he said, his words calm but firm. "We have fought our wars. We know the price of blood. But we will not bow to those who think peace is weakness. We offer friendship. We offer trade. We offer unity." Some aliens listened with respect, nodding their strange heads. But others smirked, their eyes burning with silent hatred. From the shadows, a cold gaze watched. A hand adjusted a hidden device. The speech continued. The human leader raised his hand, speaking of cooperation, of trust, of the future the galaxy could build together. And then, a sharp sound cut the hall. Not a word. Not a laugh. A single crack, almost too small to notice. The human leader froze, mid-sentence. His eyes widened. For a breath, silence held the entire chamber. Then he fell. The crystals above still glowed, but the light seemed weaker. The voice of Earth had been silenced. Gasps echoed. Delegates leapt from their seats. Some screamed in their own languages. Others hissed or growled. The chamber became chaos in seconds. Guards rushed in, weapons drawn, but it was too late. The assassin was already gone. A figure in dark armor had vanished into the council's labyrinth of corridors, leaving only confusion behind. The human guards surrounded their fallen leader. His body was still. His blood stained the white floor of the chamber. One of them whispered through clenched teeth. They killed him, here before the eyes of the galaxy. And yet, above the chaos, laughter rang. Not from humans, but from a few alien delegates. They tried to hide it behind whispers, but the sound was there. Finally, one reptilian delegate murmured to another, "The humans are leaderless. They will break now." An insectoid delegate clicked. Without their voice, they are nothing. The Galactic Council tried to control the chaos. The speaker of the council, a massive being with glowing eyes, raised its claw. "Silence. This was the act of criminals, not nations. We will investigate." But everyone in the chamber felt the truth. Investigations meant nothing. Justice would be buried under politics, and whispers already spread. Powerful hands in the HFY Council had wanted this to happen. Back in the human delegation's chamber, silence ruled. Officers, diplomats, and guards sat frozen, grief and rage burning in their eyes. A young officer slammed his fist against the table. "They think this ends us. They think by killing one man, they killed Earth." The commander of the human delegation stood slowly. His voice was low, but every ear turned to him. "They are wrong." He looked out the wide crystal window, where alien ships drifted above the council world. His reflection stared back at him, tired, grieving, but unbroken. "They believe humanity will kneel now. They believe we are finished." His hand curled into a fist. "They do not know what is coming." Far beyond the council chambers, Earth's fleet slept in silence. Hidden shipyards deep in asteroid fields. Armies training in cold metal halls. Engineers perfecting weapons the galaxy had never seen. The assassination had not broken humanity. It had awakened something far more dangerous. And in the quiet of that night, across the stars, one truth began to form. The galaxy had made a mistake. The shadows of conspiracy, the council chamber still smelled of blood. Though the body of Earth's leader had been taken away, the memory of his fall clung to every wall, every crystal light above. Delegates whispered in corners, their voices low and sharp. Some spoke of justice, others of opportunity. None spoke of truth. The official investigation began within hours. The council declared the assassin was unknown and promised to track him down. But the words were hollow. Everyone knew the council had too many factions, too many hidden knives. To find the killer would mean exposing one of their own, and no empire was willing to risk that. Among the humans, grief had already hardened into suspicion. In the quiet halls of the human embassy, officers reviewed every second of the recordings. Slow motion, zoomed frames, enhanced sound. Over and over. The bullet had been too precise, the escape too clean. This was no lone fanatic. It was planned, organized, supported by power. A young intelligence officer leaned forward, her voice trembling with restrained fury. Council security let him escape. They opened the door. They looked away at the exact moment. Her commander's jaw tightened. Which means one of them ordered this. Silence followed. Every human in the room understood what those words meant. This was not a tragedy. It was a message. Whispers in the dark outside. The galaxy gossiped. On alien worlds, markets buzzed with rumors they killed the human leader. Now Earth will collapse. No, you don't understand. Another voice whispered. Humans do not collapse. They change. They adapt. They fight. But most believed the first story. To the council races, humanity was too young, too fragile. They had risen fast, yes, but they were still new to the stars. Without their leader, they would break. At least that's what the arrogant voices told themselves. And in hidden chambers, some alien delegates toasted with bitter drinks. The experiment is over. Earth will not trouble us again. They laughed. They planned. They believed the galaxy was safe from human ambition. But they were wrong. Earth's silent preparations. Back on Earth, the news struck like lightning. Billions watched the footage, their leader speaking of peace, then falling mid-sentence. Across cities, mourning crowds filled the streets. For 3 days, the planet burned with sorrow, but grief slowly turned into something else. Factories that once built starliners switched to war production. Engineers who once designed colonies were now summoned to secret labs. Shipyards across the solar system lit up, welding, forging, creating. The silence of mourning had transformed into the silence of preparation. In hidden bases carved into asteroids, fleets waited. Long rows of warships, their hulls black as shadow, powered down, silent but ready. Commanders walked their decks like priests guarding ancient temples. Soldiers drilled in the cold of space, their faces grim. Humanity had not been broken. It had been awakened. The secret file in a dark briefing room, the commander of the human delegation replayed one final recording. It was grainy, blurred by interference, but the face of the assassin flickered across the screen. Not fully visible, just enough to see the curve of an alien crest. The officer beside him stiffened. That is no drifter. That is no mercenary. That is a council delegate's guard. The commander's eyes narrowed. He did not raise his voice, he did not shout. He simply said, "Then we were right. This was not random." He closed the file and locked it under the highest seal. This truth is not for the council. Not yet. This truth is for us. The council's laughter. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council stood before the galaxy's cameras. Their leader spoke with authority, his glowing shell radiating calm. "We mourn the death of Earth's leader," he said. "We promise peace. We promise justice. And we promise that this tragedy will not divide us." Behind him, alien delegates nodded solemnly. But when the cameras dimmed, when the public show ended, the smirks returned. "They are finished," one whispered. "Let them try to fight back," another sneered. "Without guidance, they will stumble." And once again, quiet laughter filled the council's private halls. Humanity's oath but far away, on a human warship drifting beyond the council's reach, a meeting was held. Officers, soldiers, strategists, faces marked by grief. The commander stood at the head of the table. His eyes swept across them all. "They killed our leader to silence us. They believe we will kneel. They believe fear will chain us." His voice hardened. "But humanity has never bowed. We did not bow to empires on earth. We will not bow to empires among the stars. Every soldier stood straighter. Every officer's eyes burned. The commander leaned forward, his words a vow carried into the silence of space. They wanted us broken. Instead, they forged us. Now we will answer. Not with whispers, not with shadows, but with force. In the dark between the stars, fleets stirred awake. Engines glowed for the first time in years. Weapons hummed with power. Humanity's silence was ending. The galaxy thought the assassination had closed a chapter, but in truth it had opened a new one that would be written in fire. Humanity Strikes Back. The Galactic Council believed humanity would remain quiet. Weeks passed after the assassination, and no human voice was heard in the chamber. Delegates whispered smugly, "See, they are broken. They hide in grief. They will not dare strike." But beyond their shining cities and glowing halls, deep in the dark of space, Earth's fleets were waking. The calm, before the storm on the outer edge of Council space, alien patrol ships drifted lazily. Their captains were bored, their crews half asleep. To them, humanity was no threat. At most, they expected a protest or a few angry words. Then their sensors screamed. Thousands of red dots appeared on their screens. Ships, human ships, not one, not 10, but fleets. Warships of all sizes gliding in perfect formation. Their hulls were black steel, their engines burning white. No banners flew, no broadcasts were made. They came in silence, a wave of steel cutting across the stars. The alien patrols tried to send warnings, but their signals were drowned in static. One by one, their ships vanished under precision fire. No survivors, no messages, only silence. Humanity had entered Council space, the Council's shock. The Council chamber shook with alarms as reports poured in. Human fleets crossing sector lines. Entire patrol squadrons destroyed. They are not hiding, they are advancing, delegates shouted in disbelief. Impossible. They cannot build so many ships. Earth is only one world. But one nervous voice broke through the storm of denial. Perhaps Earth was never alone. Perhaps they built these fleets in silence, hidden in colonies, hidden in shadows. We did not watch them closely enough. The chamber fell into heavy silence. For the first time, arrogance turned into fear. Humanity's arrival, at the edge of a Council stronghold. Massive alien fleets gathered. Cruisers, carriers, dreadnoughts, ships that had ruled the stars for centuries. Their commanders waited with pride, believing their numbers would crush the humans in moments. Then, the human fleets emerged from the void. The black hulls of Earth's warships caught the light of distant suns gleaming like blades. Their engines burned brighter, cutting through the dark. At the center of the formation, 3 colossal ships moved forward, ships larger than anything the galaxy had seen from Earth before. The alien commanders laughed bitterly. Pathetic. They dare challenge us? Fire at will. Cannons lit up the void, beams of energy cutting across space. Explosions bloomed, shaking the darkness, but when the smoke cleared, the human ships still advanced. Shields shimmered, absorbing the fire. Their formation did not break. Not one ship fell behind. Then the humans fired back. The first strike from the lead ship, a single order rang out. Return fire. Human weapons spoke. Beams of concentrated energy, railguns faster than light, and missiles that bent gravity itself tore into the alien fleet. Their precision was terrifying. Each shot struck not at random but at weak points. Engines, reactors, weapon cores. Ships that had stood for centuries crumbled in seconds. The aliens panicked. Their formations collapsed as cruisers exploded. Dreadnoughts burned and carriers cracked open like broken shells. A commander screamed over comms, "They fight with vengeance, not fear. Hold the line!" But there was no line left to hold. Justice, not conquest, inside the flagship. The human admiral stood calm. His face was carved with grief, but his eyes burned with purpose. "This is not war for conquest," he told his officers. We did not come to take their worlds. We came for justice. Every crew member nodded, their hands steady on their controls. They were not fighting for glory. They were fighting for their fallen leader, for Earth, for the truth buried under alien lies. The Admiral gave the next command. Target the fleet's flagship. Show them we do not bow. The human cannons aligned, glowing with light. In one blinding strike, the alien flagship erupted, its fireball lighting up the void. The rest of the fleet broke instantly, scattering in terror. Fear across the stars. Back in the council chamber, the news arrived like thunder. Entire fleets destroyed, stations lost, borders breached. Delegates stared at the reports with wide eyes. Some trembled, others shouted in denial. This is impossible. No single race can do this. They were supposed to be weak. But the truth was undeniable. Humanity had arrived in force, and the galaxy was not ready. One old delegate whispered what others feared to say. The assassination was meant to weaken them, but it has awakened them. We have unleashed something we cannot control. The turning point on the battlefield, alien survivors fled. Their transmissions carried across the galaxy. Do not face them. Their fleets are endless. They strike with precision. Every shot is death. This is not war. It is payback. And in every corner of space, fear spread. Empires that once mocked humanity now whispered in their courts. Was Earth unstoppable? Was this only the beginning? Humanity's message as the human fleets advanced deeper. One signal finally went out. A broadcast, clear and cold, carried to every council world. The voice of the human admiral filled the stars. You killed our leader. You thought we would kneel. Instead we rise. We did not come for conquest, we came for justice. Remember this day, remember who struck first and who will strike last. The message ended. Silence returned. But the silence was heavier than any roar. The galaxy now understood. Humanity was no longer the young race at the table. They were the storm outside the door, and the storm had just begun. The galaxy trembles, the void where fleets had once clashed, was now filled with wreckage. Burned-out hulks of alien warships drifted without power, their glowing cores cold. Fires burned silently in the vacuum, colors of red and blue flickering before fading into nothing. Humanity's fleets did not celebrate. They did not cheer. They simply advanced, their black hulls cutting deeper into council space, calm as predators that had tasted blood. The galaxy trembled. Rumors of fear news traveled faster than light. On desert colonies, miners threw down their tools when they heard the whispers. The humans came, the council fleet is gone. On ocean worlds, children huddled together repeating the story like a ghost tale. They fire once and whole ships vanish. Fear became rumor, and rumor became legend. Some believed the humans had found ancient weapons from a forgotten race. Others said their ships were powered by the spirits of their dead. A few swore the humans had allied with shadows beyond the stars. But one fact was certain. The humans had destroyed fleets that no empire had dared to challenge before. The councils. Fracture inside the council chamber, chaos reigned. Delegates shouted over one another. They cannot be allowed to advance further. Send everything we have left. No, if we provoke them, they will erase us all. The leader of the council slammed his glowing claw against the floor. Silence. But even his voice cracked. A quiet delegate spoke at last, her voice trembling. Perhaps we should surrender? Gasps filled the chamber. Surrender had never been spoken here before. But fear made even the proud tremble. Others hissed and snarled in anger. Never. They are a young race. They cannot rule us. We must unite. But already alliances were breaking. Some empires sent secret envoys to Earth, begging for peace. Others plotted revenge, building hidden weapons in the dark. And some simply froze in fear, unwilling to move at all. The council that had once laughed together now stood divided, broken by a single human strike. The assassin's truth far from the chamber, in a locked archive, a secret file was opened by trembling hands. The recordings of the assassination, thought erased, had been restored by human intelligence. The figure of the assassin appeared again. Dark armor, cold eyes, precise aim. The image sharpened, and the truth became clear. The assassin was not a lone killer. He was a soldier of one of the Council's most powerful factions. His escape route had been mapped by Council security itself. The orders had not come from the shadows. They had come from within the chamber. The humans had been right. The assassination was not chaos. It was conspiracy. When the evidence reached the admiral aboard the human flagship, he stood in silence, for a long time. His officers waited for his words. Finally, he said, "So this is their justice. Lies wrapped in promises. Treachery hidden under banners of peace." His voice grew harder. "Then our justice will be different. We will not hide." The survivors' terror. From the broken fleets, a handful of alien ships had fled. Their transmissions spread across the stars. "Do not face them. Their weapons pierce our shields like paper. They strike with precision. Every shot is death. They are not fighting for conquest. They are fighting for vengeance. And vengeance has no limit." The survivors' terror spread faster than their words. Soldiers began to desert. Colonies sent frantic messages to their leaders. "If the humans come, what protection do we have?" Humanity's silence, yet through it all, humanity remained silent. Their fleets advanced, but they did not broadcast demands. They did not announce conquest. This silence terrified the galaxy more than threats ever could. No one knew what Earth wanted. No one knew how far they would go. And without knowing, fear filled every empty space. In private, alien rulers whispered to each other. If they had wanted to burn our worlds, they already would have. But others asked the darker question. What if they still plan to? A divided galaxy. The Council called for emergency unity, but their words were hollow. Behind closed doors, old rivals no longer trusted one another. One empire whispered, "The humans will finish the Council first. Then we will rise in the ruins." Another hissed back, "No, the humans will finish us all." Suspicion spread. Trust shattered. The galaxy itself seemed ready to collapse, and all because one leader had fallen, and Earth had answered in fire. The human admiral's oath aboard the human flagship. The admiral stood in the war room. Around him, holograms of Council space glowed. Sectors, fleets, colonies. His officers waited for his command. He spoke slowly, each word deliberate. They thought assassination would silence us. Instead, it awoke us. They thought fear would break us. Instead, it forged us. He turned to his officers, his eyes like steel. "We will not become monsters. We will not destroy worlds for pride. But those who plotted against us, those who laughed as our leader fell, they will learn the cost of betrayal." The officers saluted. The war room glowed brighter as new strategies came online. The trembling stars across the galaxy. Silence spread after every human victory. Silence, heavy with dread. The stars themselves seemed to watch as if waiting for what humanity would do next. The assassin's truth had been revealed. The Council was breaking. Empires trembled, and through it all, humanity advanced, silent, steady, unstoppable. The galaxy now understood. This was no longer politics. This was no longer balance. This was justice, and justice had arrived in force. The legend of Earth's vengeance, the galaxy had changed forever. Where once arrogance ruled, now silence lingered. Every star seemed dimmer. Every empire watched the void with unease, waiting for the next move of humanity. But humanity did not rush. The fleets of Earth, vast and dark, stood at the edges of Council space. They did not conquer planets. They did not enslave colonies. They only waited, their engines humming softly, like predators watching the trembling of prey. The Council's collapse inside the once proud Council chamber, the air reeked of fear. Delegates sat in silence, their voices weak. Gone was the laughter. Gone was the arrogance. Now their words stumbled like broken glass. "They will destroy us all," whispered one. We must beg for peace. Another trembled. But a third hissed, we cannot kneel to primitives. The chamber split with shouting, but deep inside they all knew the truth. The council was dying, not from human weapons alone, but from the rot of its own betrayal. The assassination they had allowed had become their undoing, humanity's warning. Then came the message. Across every channel, every frequency, the same broadcast lit up the stars. The face of the human admiral appeared, calm, grim, unshaken. His words were simple. His voice carried weight heavier than any fleet. You killed our leader. You conspired in shadows and thought we would bow. You believed one death would silence Earth. Instead, it awakened us. You called us weak. You laughed. But today you have seen what silence hides. He leaned closer, his eyes hard as steel. We do not come for conquest. We do not come for slaves or riches. We come for justice. And justice has been delivered, remember this. Betray humanity once more, and the silence you fear will return. Louder, final. The broadcast ended, and the galaxy shivered. The rise of a legend. From that day, stories spread like wildfire. On desert worlds, children whispered, the humans fire once and whole fleets vanish. On ocean planets, sailors told each other, their ships are shadows. You never hear them until it's too late. In academies, young cadets studied humanity, not with mockery, but with fear and respect. The weak warship that once drew, laughter now became a myth told around fires and in training halls. Alien children were warned, do not laugh at the humans. They remember, they return. What had begun as assassination had become something far greater, a legend. The legend of Earth's vengeance, humanity's choice. And yet, on Earth, there were no parades, no songs of triumph. Families still mourned their leader, their voices low with grief. Soldiers returned to their ships quietly. Engineers went back to their stations. Humanity did not celebrate revenge. They carried it like a scar. The admiral, himself alone in his cabin, stared at an old photograph of Earth. Blue oceans, white clouds. A fragile world compared to the vastness of the galaxy. He whispered almost to himself, we are still human. Not gods, not monsters, only human. And that is enough. For all their firepower, for all their fleets, they remained what they had always been. Survivors, fighters, builders. A race that would not kneel even in the face of betrayal. The galaxy's whisper years passed, but the memory did not fade. In the farthest colonies of alien empires, whispers still lingered. Remember the night Earth struck back. Remember the fleets that vanished. Remember the silence after their message. And above every whisper came the same final truth. Never provoke the humans. Their vengeance waits in silence. Closing scene out in the void, the human fleets slowly withdrew, one by one, fading back into the dark. Their engines dimmed. Their hulls vanished among the stars. The galaxy watched them go, hearts heavy, breaths trembling. No one knew when they would return. No one knew what else they hid. But every leader, every soldier, every child knew one truth. They had seen Earth's wrath once, and no one wished to see it again.